Nostalgia isn't a strategy. We have to change with the times and to build a better world. And some of you, such as you, Mr. President, have anticipated these massive changes and are taking bold measures to address them. All of us around this table are reinforcing our militaries and security services for the new world. But we all know that there can be no security without economic prosperity, and no prosperity without resilience. And in a world where shocks flow across the borders, that resilience comes from cooperation. Cooperation that starts around this table. Cooperation that can lead to a new era of prosperity. Energy security and critical minerals, artificial intelligence, quantum, combating human smuggling and transnational repression.
Sheila Gunn-Reid for Rebel News, and I'm here at the ground at the G7 Summit in Banff, Alberta. You can follow all of our coverage and support our independent journalism at g7reports.com. But let me give you the real headline the legacy media won't touch today. Mark Carney just made every Liberal voter look like an absolute chump. Now, you don't have to hate Donald Trump to see how badly Liberal voters just got played. Now, I like Trump, let me be clear. I think a lot of Canadians do, but Mark Carney didn't run in the last election on liking Trump. In fact, he did the exact opposite. Carney built his whole campaign on sneering at Trump. He positioned himself as the polished, globe-trotting adult who would put Canada on a sophisticated post-American path. He told Liberal voters, the CBC crowd, the university wine moms, the Davos dads, that Canada under his rule would be done with Trump's America. Remember this?
We will need to ensure that Canada can succeed in a drastically different world. The old relationship we had with the United States, based on deepening integration of our economies and tight security and military cooperation, is over.
President Trump, he's clear about his strategy. His strategy is to break us so that America can own us. You know, we are over as a country, we are over the shock of the betrayal. But we should never forget the lessons. Never forget the lessons. That's right. That's right. We have to look out. We have to look out for ourselves. We have to look out for ourselves, and we have to take care of each other. We didn't ask for this fight. We didn't ask for this fight, but Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. Elbows up. Elbows up. And in this trade war, just like in hockey, we will win.
Elbows up, he said. No more getting pushed around by Washington. He practically promised to ghost our largest trading partner if Canadians sent Carney to the Prime Minister's office. And that sold. It worked. Let's be honest. Every Liberal who needed one more excuse to feel morally superior to the Americans bought it wholesale. Carney offered them a vintage bottle of anti-American smugness, and they drank it down every single drop. Now, at the G7, Carney greets Trump in Kananaskis like Justin Trudeau at a Taylor Swift concert. Wide-eyed, grinning, barely holding in the urge to ask for a selfie. Mr. President, he beams. Welcome to Canada. You could practically hear his inner monologue. Do I bow? Do I curtsy? Does this tie make me look presidential?
Welcome to Canada.
Thank you.
It's a great honor. Happy birthday. A few days short. A few days short, but didn't have a chance to see you on the day. Happy birthday to the U.S. military as well, 250th, and this is the 50th birthday, if you will, of the G7. This marks the 50th birthday of the G7, and the G7 is nothing without U.S. leadership, and your personal leadership of the United States, many issues. Geopolitics, economic, technology, and working hand in hand with the United States, Canada and the United States, and the other G7 partners with your leadership. Very much looking forward to the meeting and grateful to have you.
Very much.
And while Trump went off script, the way Trump always does, dumping on Canada's past leaders, mocking the decision to kick Russia out of the G8, Carney just stood there, grinning, nodding, no sign of that elbows up energy in sight.
And we've developed a very good relationship, and we're going to be talking about trade and many other things. And we have a whole group of people, some traders and some other people. I see my top economy people. But we have a very talented group of people, and you do too, and I know they work together very well. I look forward to that. The G7 used to be the G8. Barack Obama and a person named Trudeau didn't want to have Russia in. And I would say that was a mistake, because I think you wouldn't have a war right now if you had Russia in. And you wouldn't have a war right now if Trump were president 4 years ago. But it didn't work out that way. But it used to be the G8. And now it's, I guess, what's that, 8 years ago, it switched over. They threw Russia out, which I claimed was a very big mistake. Even though I wasn't in politics then, I was very loud about it. It was a mistake in that you spend so much time talking about Russia, and he's no longer at the table. So it makes life more complicated. But you wouldn't have had the war. Other than that, I think we're going to accomplish a lot, and I expect to. And I think our primary focus will be trade and trade with Canada, and I'm sure we can work something out. Yep.
Now, this is the same man who told you our relationship with the U.S. was over as we knew it, that Canada needed to chart a new path, that Trump was a threat to multilateralism and Canadian values. But when the cameras came on and Air Force One touchdown, Carney went soft, real soft.
Nostalgia isn't a strategy. We have to change with the times and to build a better world. And some of you, such as you, Mr. President, have anticipated these massive changes and are taking bold measures to address them. All of us around this table are reinforcing our militaries and security services for the new world. But we all know that there can be no security without economic prosperity, and no prosperity without resilience. And in a world where shocks flow across the borders, that resilience comes from cooperation that starts around this table, cooperation that can lead to a new era of prosperity, energy security and critical minerals, artificial intelligence, quantum, combating human smuggling and transnational repression.
And if you're a Liberal voter who picked Carney because you thought he would stand up to Trump, oh, you should feel embarrassed right now, because he flipped on you hard. He didn't just drop the elbows, he dropped the act completely. But this is what Liberal politicians always do. They posture for the voters and they fold for the cameras. They have zero principles. Now, I like that Trump is in Alberta. I think it's good for Western Canada to be taken seriously. But what I can't stand is the hypocrisy. Carney ran on elbows up and he delivered you knees bent. If you voted for him because you thought he'd defy Trump, well, it turns out the only thing he defied was you. For Rebel News, here in Banff outside the Media Center for the G7, I am Sheila Gunn Reid. To see and support all of our independent journalism from on the ground at the G7 between Banff, Kananaskis, and Calgary, Alberta, go to g7reports.com.